Hello, and welcome to the CCCApply International Application demo. Today I'm going to be demoing the CCCApply International application. We're going to talk a little bit about getting there, signing in through the OpenCCC account, starting an application on the My Applications page, going through the full application, and then wrapping up talking about the admin tools and reporting behind the application and a few of the post-submission application processes. So a couple quick notes about the international application. There is no residency behind the application. So different from the standard application, the CCCApply domestic app, there's really no logic residency algorithm behind it. It is basically data collection at this point. We do pass the OpenCCC account data through the application to the college in your downloads. We collect passport and visa information, education information, and several sets of address and contact information. So let's go ahead and get started with that application. I'm going to use one of our test colleges to go through this application. So I'm going to sign in. If I did not have an OpenCCC account yet, here's where I would create my OpenCCC account. Many international students will likely have to create their account first. Otherwise, I can sign in with an existing OpenCCC account and then land on the My International Applications page. Similar to the My Applications page that domestic students have, international students have their own My International Applications page. If they had started an application previously to your college or to another college, they would see their in-progress applications here and also a summary of their previously submitted applications. Most international students will likely not have very many previously submitted applications, but if they do, they will appear on their page here. So let's go ahead and start a brand new international application. So the first page is the enrollment page. The term that they will select, these are set by the college in the administrator based on either the same terms as your standard app or different terms. So in the administrator, the international setup will ask you to set up terms for your international application separately than the standard app. The education goal field, these are based on the Chancellor's Office dictated values for international students. The major category, this is a feature that was added last year that will allow you to categorize your majors in by any category you choose to set up, so custom categories, or such as meta majors, you can group your majors in different ways. So that is customized in the administrator and documented in the administrator user guide. Majors, again, these could be the same majors as your standard application or unique majors for international students. These are also set up separately in the administrator in the international admin section. So once the enrollment page is complete, we'll go to the account and mailing information. So this first section is a recap of the data that already exists in your OpenCCC account. If the student just created their account and they've come into the international app, they may not need to edit this information, but if they do need to, they see some incorrect information, or if this is older information, they can edit their OpenCCC account directly from within the application. We also have two other address sets on this page. The current mailing address. So this is whether it is domestic or foreign. If the student's mailing address is the same as their permanent address that they provided in the OpenCCC account, they can click that box and move on. So those fields will be pre-populated into the current mailing fields. if their address is different, we'll want to find out if it's foreign or domestic. So by saying my current mailing address is outside the US, these fields will change, the logic changes. We'll ask for the street address. Say, and we'll ask for the city and the country, but those are the only required fields in the address. The rest are, there's so many different requirements for different countries around the world that these are the 3 required fields for the foreign address sets. But if my current mailing address is the same as my permanent, I'm gonna zip that up. So the next address set is the non-US permanent home address. So non-US permanent home address. And again, since we're talking about foreign address, we're going to require the street, the city, and the country. If there is a state or province, and if there is a postal code, we'll add them. Otherwise, it can continue. So the contact information page is another set of contact information, several additional address field sets. The first section is telephone numbers. All 3 of these are actually optional, but if the student has a current non-US telephone number, they would select the country field first and then put in their telephone number. If they don't have a current non-US telephone number, it's not required. If they have an alternate non-US number, they would enter it here, and or a fax number. The current, emergency contact fields. So these are for emergency contact. If your emergency contact does not have a first name, you can select the no first name field. Otherwise, all of these fields are required. So first name, last name, relationship, telephone, and email address. For the address portion, my emergency contact address is outside the US, changes it again to my contact phone number is not valid. Great. For the address portion of the emergency contact fields, again, I would indicate whether a foreign or domestic address and complete the street, the city, and the country if my address is outside the US. Otherwise, for domestic address, all fields are required. For the parent guardian contact section, this whole section is required if the student is 17 years old or younger, and they are asking for a parent or guardian. So I can use my father's name and information if he is a mother, father, or guardian. Again, telephone number and email address. So notice that a lot of these fields are auto-populating. If they're highlighted in blue, that means that it's coming in from a previously submitted application. Your students may not have a previously submitted application, in which case either their browser may auto-populate or they won't have any auto-population help there. But if it is highlighted in blue, that means I already submitted this information and it's pre-populating for me. I can always change it if that's not the address of my emergency contact. but that's what the highlights in blue mean. So for my parent guardian address, again, I can switch it to outside the US or keep it domestic. On the education page, many of the questions are the same as the standard application. We're going to want to collect the student's entry level or enrollment status, their highest high school or secondary school completion information. If they say they have completed or graduated foreign secondary school, we'll ask for the completion date. The English proficiency section is actually optional. The college can decide in the administrator whether to turn on this question or not. In this case, the college has turned it on, and it's asking if I have taken an English proficiency test in the past or not. If I say yes, they will ask additional information. If I say no, that zips up, but the additional information is actually set up by the college in the administrator. The last secondary / high school attended, similar to the standard application. If they have attended high school or secondary school, we'll ask for the country, dates of attendance, and the primary language. If they have not, they can zip that up. The college education, we're looking for their highest college completion status. So either they have no degree or a 2-year or a 4-year degree. If they select one of these degrees, we'll ask for a completion date. If no degree, go to colleges attended section. Now, unlike the standard application where we default to none, this application does not default to none. So we'll want the student to click on none, or they'll get an error message at the end. So say none, or if you have attended colleges before, even if you don't have a degree, we'll ask for the country, the dates of attendance. Again, if you have a degree from this college, primary language of education, and an intended major or a chosen major. But if no college information, no colleges attended, we say none and continue. On the education page, most of the questions in the sections are very similar to the standard application, though some of the on-screen labels and prompt texts are custom for an international student. So all of the questions are required. What is your enrollment status or entry level? First-time student, transfer, or returning to college? Secondary / high school education, that's the highest education level completed as of the first day of the term. So either a foreign secondary school diploma or equivalent, high school diploma, or a proficiency test or equivalency tests, Or if they are not a graduate or no longer enrolled in high school, they can select that. If they select that they have graduated or completed a test, we'll ask for the completion date. The English proficiency section is actually optional in the international application. The college decides if they want to display this question, and they toggle it on or off in the administrator. So this college has decided that they want to ask if the incoming student has any proof of English proficiency. If the student does, you can say yes, and they can set up requesting additional information, or they can click no. The last secondary high school attended information, if it lines up, if the student says their first time and they have completed a foreign secondary school or equivalent, validation logic will ensure that they put in information about that school or test. So for the last secondary high school attended, I'm going to select the country. It'll ask for the school and the city, dates of attendance, primary language of instruction, and then down to the education, college education section. So this is the highest college education level achieved by the first date of the term. If the student has some college education, they would put, even if they don't have a degree, or if they do have a degree, they would answer this question here. So if they say that they have a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, we'll ask for a completion date. They don't have a degree, we won't. And then again, validation exists that asks for information about that college. So if you have not attended college in the past, say none. Otherwise, here you can add up to 4, 5, or more different colleges to report. Each section, each college reported will ask for the country, dates of attendance, a degree, if any, with the primary languages, and then a major if you had one. Otherwise, the student did not attend college previously, click none. The visa and dependent information page. So we collect passport information, visa information, and additional information on dependents here. So in the passport information, we're asking for the country of issuance of the student's passport. So they put the country in here, the passport number, expiration date. But if the student doesn't have a passport yet, they would check the box, zip that up. For visa information, we are asking for an F1, M1, J1, or other or none in this application. So the student can certainly select other or none, and that's all there is to it. They could also say no visa yet, I'm working on getting my visa. Or if they select F1, J1, or M1, we're going to ask for visa issue and expiration date. And we're going to go ahead and put this in. And the expiration date. And continue. So the additional information, do you currently reside in the US? So if the student is currently here now, say yes, then we'll want to collect their I-94 information and expiration date. So the number, expiration, or if they can also check the box here for duration of status with no expiration date. But if they're not here in the US, they don't have to provide that information. For dependents, so how many dependents will accompany you? If they have no dependents, say none. If they do, and you can see they can have they can declare up to 10 dependents, a set of fields appears. These are all required. Once you say a number of dependents, each of these fields are required. So we're asking for the first name, last name, date of birth, country of birth, gender, and relationship for each of these dependents. But if the student doesn't have any dependents, zip that up. So one thing I want to point out before we go to the next page is notice that the next page moving forward would be to the demographic information. However, based on their visa information, if we find out that they have an F1 or an M1 visa, we'll ask for their CVIS information. So if not, we won't. And that page will be hidden. They won't see it. They won't have to answer it. I am presently studying in the US. If they say yes, we'll ask for their CVIS ID, their I-20 issuing information, and expiration date. And if they're not studying here yet, they can not check that box. For their OPT, OCT, or CPT information for practical training, again, this is optional, but we will want to have them say none if they don't have any OPT information to report. If they do, depending on the number, we have some required fields here. We would like to know the date from, and the year, and the date to, and status, whether it's optional or curricular, and then the authorizing school. But again, it's not required to have that. So the demographic information, gender and primary language. These are the values that are on the international application. Nationality, so we'll ask for country of birth and country of citizenship. And then race and ethnicity. We are required to ask this question, but the student is not required to answer this question. So if they would be so kind to provide this, that would be great. Otherwise, they can skip this altogether. But let's go ahead and put some information in there and continue. So getting towards the end, the consent to release information, this is required. It's required for the student to answer one way or another. Either they consent to release their information or they do not consent. If the student has an authorized agent or a representative helping them apply to college, that information gets entered here. And we'd like to know the agent company, their contact information, and what country that agent is with. Otherwise, they can continue. The review application page is important to note that we provide a page of all the previously submitted answers. So we encourage students to review all of their responses prior to hitting submit, because once you submit your application, you can't go back and edit it. So if they did need to make a change after hitting submit, they would need to contact the college and make that change directly with you. So here's an opportunity to review all the answers. And once they do that, I have reviewed this application and I confirm that it is complete and accurate. And then finally, submitting the application. Now, like the standard application, there is an electronic / digital signature mechanism behind this. So, it is like signing an affidavit, and under penalty of perjury, they're basically saying that their information is true and accurate. And once they check that box, they can submit their international application. So once the application is submitted to your college, did I do it? Immediately upon submitting the application, you can run a report or look up that submitted application in the Report Center. Furthermore, the confirmation screen appears to the student, which summarizes the date, the time, the college they just applied to, their CCC ID number, and their name, and the confirmation number. So they can print that page and save it, or not. Behind the application are the admin tools and reporting tools. So there is a bit of implementation setup with the international application, but compared to the standard application, it will take half the time or even less. So many of the admin components that your college used to set up your standard application, such as your IDP, and mostly that IDP is for authorized users from your college to access the downloads, the report center, and the administrator. So part of the setup for any of the CCCApply applications and services is a college identity provider service. But that gets set up with the standard app. So once you get to setting up the international application, that's already done, and that's a big chunk of the work. The administrator is the admin tool for both the standard and the international application. So that's a big chunk of work that's done. You'll still need to go into the administrator and set up terms, majors, and then any of the optional admin configuration, such as email rules and messages. If you wanted to send an automatic email to every submitted application, you could do that in the administrator, but you do have to set it up separately in the international component of the administrator. And then on the supplemental questions, there is an optional module where you can build a page of supplemental questions. We offer you multiple different types of question formats, such as, a drop-down menu question or a radio button or checkbox. You can build a question around a country code menu. So we provide you with a user guide and a template, and then it's completely up to you what your questions say, what you're asking for, and how you ask for them. So all of that is done in the administrator tool. The report center is the other tool where you can run reports on submitted applications immediately upon the student submitting their application. And then your data downloads are set up. So for the international application, it does require a separate download file, but it leverages the same download client. So the download client is a little mini application that we provide you that allows you to point to the download server and use your XML download files to download your data. That's kind of the traditional CCCApply download method. Recently, we are starting to implement and move towards the superglue data delivery method. We've just released the international data set through superglue. So if your college is interested in working with the Tech Center and the Enabling Services Division on getting started on glue for the international application, we can offer you two options. One is a data set to a staging table, or the full college adapter setup where we can work with you specifically to map real-time data from CCCApply right into your student information system. So there is a bit of implementation setup for the international application, but again, compared to your initial CCCApply application setup, it's about 50% of the work. For support and implementation, the Enabling Services Division of the CCC Tech Center is available to help you with implementation, help you understand our products and services. Most likely you have heard from your CRM, which is a college relations manager. And if not, please email crms@ccctechcenter.org to arrange a meeting, an introduction call, or if you're interested in getting started on the international application, they'll get you started. For post-adoption, post-go-live support, we have two ways for you to reach us and request support. One is to go to our online support site, which is ccctechnology.info, where you can create an account, super easy, register with just your email address, and then follow some of the categories. All of the Tech Center products and services are represented here. For CCCApply, standard application, there's different categories. Notice that there was one for the international app. But this is a kind of a two-way communication site where we encourage you to reach out to us, ask questions of your fellow college admissions staff, colleagues. But the other kind of main reason for this site is outgoing information. So this category right here, system alerts, this is the one category for all Tech Center applications, products, and services where we alert you about outages, about product releases, about maintenance windows. We don't abuse this. We only send out emails when we have something to alert you to. But all you need to do is register for this site, and then for this category page, click follow. But you can follow any of the categories on this site or even any of the posts. So if there's an interesting conversation going on between some other system-wide staff and faculty, you can follow that particular post and get alerted anytime somebody makes a comment on there. So here is the support site for this Tech Center. The other way to reach support is directly emailing staff support, which is available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And their email address is staffsupport@opencccc.zendesk.com. Thank you very much.